So hello students, welcome once again to Purnank. That's the question for today. The question you would have got as posed. So number of real roots of this equation. See, as I said in the beginning of the questions for theory of equation in my last video, that I will try to discuss as many different type of questions, the questions involving different concept, different tricks here. So that's again one such type of a question. Of course, the first step I think is clear to all of you, that will replace 5 raised to the power x is equal to t like we did in the previous question here. So that was also a functional equation involving log function, and then we converted it to a polynomial. The same is the case here, but then there's a difference between the previous one and this one. See, when we replace ln x is equal to t, did I care to say anything about t? Answer is no. Why? Because the range of log function is from minus infinity to infinity. So that means t can take any value from minus infinity to plus infinity. But that's not the case here. We all know that exponential function can never be negative, neither it can be zero. So it is always positive. So the moment you replace 5 raised to the power x by t, you should know that t has to be positive. Okay, but once we do it, now we can see, because the question is all about number of real roots of this equation. So after converting it to a polynomial in terms of t, if we get roots somehow which is let's say negative, are we going to accept that root? Answer is no, we won't accept that root here. Okay, so that's why we have to be careful. So whenever you are replacing a function by a variable and get a polynomial or a different type of equation, you should always think that do we need to impose some constraint, some restriction on that new variable. If yes, then do it in the beginning itself. Okay, so chaliye, let's start. So that's what we got. Now the real purpose behind discussing this question with you people is this form of the polynomial equation. So it's an even degree equation. So listen to me very carefully. Even degree equation. So if it's a even degree equation, particularly biquadratic equation. Okay, but the statement may hold for maybe 6th degree equation also. If you have a biquadratic or an even degree equation where the leading coefficient is exactly same as the constant term, the highest degree term coefficient and the least degree term coefficient, that is the constant term, they match exactly. Okay, and the coefficient of second highest degree term and the linear term, the second least degree term, the linear term, they are same magnitude wise. They may have different sign, like in this case they are of different sign, but they are same magnitude wise. Similarly, the third largest degree term and the quadratic term have same magnitude wise, same coefficient, they may differ in sign, and of course you are left with a middle term here. So if it's a perfect with all possible terms and even degree polynomial equation, you will always have a middle term. Okay, then the approach is divide by the degree term of the middle term. So which degree term is it? It's t squared, second degree term. So divide by t squared both the sides. So divide by t squared both the sides. So now what do we get? We get here 2t squared minus 3t minus 9 plus 3 by t plus 2 by t squared equal to 0. Now I will be collecting the terms which are similar in degree, like square here minus 2 here, 1 here minus 1 here. So 2t squared plus 1 by t squared minus 3 t minus 1 by t minus 9 equal to 0. Now this term actually holds the key. Why? Because this term will guide us in which form are we going to write t square plus 1 by t square. We all know that we can express t square plus 1 by t square as a perfect square in two different forms just by adding or subtracting a constant. Okay, so we can write it either as a square of t plus 1 by t or as a square of t minus 1 by t also. Now which one are we going to prefer here? So of course here we will be preferring this one, as I said, because in this term here this is t minus 1 by t. So that's why I said this holds the key here. Now so let's replace t square plus 1 by t square by, so therefore 2 into t minus 1 by t whole square plus 2, and then what was that? I think minus 3. Yeah, minus 3 into t minus 1 by t. Okay, and then it is minus 9 equal to 0. Now simplify it and see, we got a quadratic, and that was the purpose. If I replace it with p here, so it's p square, so 2p square plus 4 minus 9 is minus 5 minus 3p minus 5 equal to 0. We finally got a quadratic where of course I need to write it separately so that we don't miss it. T minus 1 by t is p here. And that was the ultimate goal here. That was the ultimate goal here, to express it in terms as a quadratic equation. If once we get it, see, once you get a quadratic, be sure that we are going to get the answer. Now, is it factorizable? Yeah, it's factorizable. So 2p square minus 5p plus 2p minus 5 equal to 0. So p common plus 1. So we can write here, so that means p is either minus 1 or p is equal to 5 by 2. But what is p? So therefore p is t minus 1 by t is equal to minus 1. So that gives us a quadratic t square plus t minus 1 equal to 0. So t is equal to minus 1 plus minus under root of b square minus 4ac. So root 5 by 2, we need only positive root, because see, that's why it's important. We got two roots, minus 1 minus root 5 by 2, which is for sure negative, minus 1 plus root 5 by 2, which is positive. As we know, t has to be positive. So therefore t is equal to minus 1 plus root 5 by 2 is the only possible solution for this equation. Now similarly, just a minute. Yeah, similarly, if I replace p by 5 by 2, okay, here, so we'll get t minus 1 by t is equal to 5 by 2, convert it to quadratic, 2t square minus 5t minus 2 equal to 0. So again, we'll apply Sridhar formula here. So t is equal to 5 plus minus under root of b square 25, 16, 30, 41, no? By 4. Okay, 5 minus root 41 is a negative 1. So here what we got, t is equal to 5 plus root 41 by 4. See, what do we get is not important. What's important is we have, because actually we have to just figure out how many real roots we have. So the number of positive values of t, positive roots for t are our solution. So we just got two positive t, which are the solution of this equation. So the answer should be, we have two such roots, okay, of this equation. So again, I will repeat the entire, for the crux of the discussion, or the brain of this question was to this form, where I told you all, so what's the importance of this form. So whenever you get a particularly a biquadratic in this form, that's the approach which you should follow here, bacho. Okay, so that was the question for today.